These are the craziest, most insane U.S. conspiracy theories ever talked about in the Joe Rogan podcast. From theories that turned out to be true to the real stories behind JFK's assassination, and even Trump talking with Joe about the JFK files, plus Kennedy's famous speech on secret societies, the theories are about to get wild. Let's start with an episode where Joe dives deep into the JFK assassination, breaking down theories like the infamous single bullet theory and the mysteries surrounding it.
So let's find one that we disagree on. I think you believe the official story of the JFK assassination, do you?
More or less, yes.
More or less.
Yeah.
My belief, and this changes over time, I think that Lee Harvey Oswald was in on it. I think he was a part of it, but I think there were multiple people that were in on it. That's what I believe.
Do you think there are multiple shooters?
Yes. And one of the reasons why I believe that is because of the formation of the single bullet theory. And the single bullet theory was formed because the fact that they had to account for one bullet that hit the underpass, ricocheted off, and put some man in the hospital. And that before that, they did not have an explanation for why all of these bullet holes, all these wounds were in all these different people's bodies. The other reason why I'm inclined to believe there's a conspiracy was the fact that they found that bullet on Connolly's gurney when they brought him into the hospital. It's too convenient, and the bullet itself is fairly pristine. Now, knowing as much as I know about bullets from personal experience of hunting, you can't hit anything with a bullet. I pulled a lot of bullets out of animals. When you shoot an animal and you hit bone, those bullets, they distort brutally. I mean, they don't look like that after they go through two people and hit all sorts of bone. That's the bullet that came out of Connolly's body, or Connolly's gurney, excuse me. And that's the bullet that they're attributing to this single bullet theory. If you look at the path of the bullet that goes through Connolly, or goes through Kennedy and then goes through Connolly, that to me is not unbelievable. It's not unbelievable.
That one is. But you got to look at the other one.
But even that one. But no. See what I'm saying? Even that one is not unbelievable. It is believable to me because I know that bullets do strange things when they hit things.
Right, but you got to combine that with the fact that the bullet came out fairly pristine, which means it didn't actually go through a kind of a bouncy path like that.
Right.
It went through a straight path. This diagram is from a
conspiracy theorist book.
Essentially.
Yes. But there are other
diagrams that will show the actual path with him. Like, they've got the butts there on the same level, and you know that Kennedy was actually sitting above
He was elevated,
Connolly.
yes.
For more context on the story, on November 22nd, 1963, President John F. Kennedy was shot and killed while riding in a car in Dallas, Texas. The shooter, Lee Harvey Oswald, fired from a building, hitting JFK in the neck and head. He was rushed to the hospital, but died 30 minutes later. Oswald was arrested, but got shot and killed on live TV 2 days later. Many believe there was more to the story, but the official report says Oswald acted alone.
So see if we can find one that has the actual seating arrangement or more accurate seating. Well, the one right there with the red line in the right-hand side, the one on the right-hand side, that's a more accurate.
From above, yeah.
Yeah, from above.
Yeah.
There's also the fact that there was particles, there was more metallic particles from the bullets, more fragments from the bullet in Connolly's body than were missing from the bullet. I do not believe that was the bullet, and I think that is a very reasonable assumption.
Well, you know what you should do? You should get one of those guns, get the same bullets, get some ballistic dummies with some bones inside, and start shooting.
They've already done that.
Yeah.
Penn and Teller did that.
Yeah, but some people have done it, and they have found pretty close to what actually happened.
No, they didn't.
Within the round.
No. Every bullet that hit bone got distorted. That's just what happens. When you shoot those bullets into water, or you shoot those bullets into like fluff or something like that doesn't have a lot of impact to slow the bullet down, then you get a bullet that looks like that. If you shoot a bullet into bone, they distort wildly.
But the bone was the last thing that it hit.
But it doesn't matter. It's still hitting bone.
But it stopped at that point.
Yeah, but I mean, didn't it hit bone in Kennedy's body as well?
Went through his neck, didn't it? So
the odds of it hitting only soft tissue, and it's going to go through his neck, and it came out here, that it didn't clip one of his vertebrae or something like that, I don't think that's real.
Yeah.
I think also there's a difference between, and this is fact, from David Lifton's book, Best Evidence, which was a book by an accountant who went over the Warren Commission report and found all these factual inaccuracies and all these contradictions. He found that there was a difference in the autopsy report at Bethesda, Maryland, the Bethesda Naval Hospital, versus what they had reported on the scene in Dallas. The first doctors that got a hold of Kennedy's body in Dallas before they flew him to Bethesda said that the hole in his neck was an entry wound. When they got to Maryland, they changed that to a tracheotomy hole. They changed the impact, and they said that this was not an impact from a bullet, that it was from something else.
Yeah, someone said they enlarged the hole to insert a trach.
This whole conversation highlights some of the biggest reasons people don't fully believe the official story of JFK's assassination, especially the single bullet theory and the weird changes in the autopsy reports. First, there's the bullet itself. The official story says one bullet went through Kennedy's neck, then hit Governor Connolly's chest, wrist, and thigh, yet somehow came out almost perfectly intact. But anyone who knows basic ballistics will tell you, bullets don't stay clean when they hit bone. They get smashed, bent, and broken. So how did this one stay so perfect? Then there's the autopsy confusion. When doctors in Dallas first examined Kennedy, they said he had a small hole in his throat, which looked like an entry wound, meaning he was possibly shot from the front. But when his body was flown to Bethesda Naval Hospital, the same wound was suddenly an exit wound instead. They even said it was just a tracheotomy hole, as if the doctors were wrong. That's a huge change, and it makes people wonder, was someone trying to rewrite what really happened?
Yeah, well, I think, there was also a lot of pressure on these people to try to wrap this up nice and tight and say that Lee Harvey Oswald was the shooter.
There was, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's this big thing about the CIA inventing the FBI? The FBI, well, inventing the term conspiracy theory was a CIA thing.
I think it was the CIA.
Yeah, and this was a couple of years after the assassination. There was a memo that went out where they were concerned about all these conspiracy theories that were coming out. And they used the term conspiracy theories, and then they said they should try to basically debunk them and make the people who spread them around look like conspiracy theorists, basically.
Right.
So that the theory is that the term conspiracy theory came from that particular memo. But that memo, they never actually encouraged people to use the term. But yeah, there was a huge concern from the CIA that they would lose the trust of the public if everybody started believing that it was a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
At least that's what they said. I mean, maybe there is a conspiracy and maybe they're just trying to cover it up. But
did you see the most recent dump of information on the Kennedy assassination that Jack Ruby had stated to people that before the day of the Kennedy assassination, keep an eye out today, there's going to be fireworks?
I didn't see that.
Yeah, those Jack Ruby, who eventually wound up shooting Lee Harvey Oswald in front of the police officers.
Yeah. But, something like that, there's no... he's dead, obviously, so you can't ask him what he actually meant. And things like that take on a special significance after an event.
True.
Whereas he could be just talking about, like, he was going to go visit his ex-wife or something, or he was going to go to the bar, or he was looking forward to shouting at the parade or whatever.
Right. Could have been nothing.
Yeah, people say things, and, after something happens, people go back and they look at everything that happened, and then they say, well, that sounds like something significant.
Right. Like
with the Vegas shooting, there was a woman walking around the crowd in the Vegas shooting saying, you're all going to die. This is what some people said. And this was like half an hour before the actual shooting itself. So people take that event, and then, since a lot of people did die, they think that this woman actually knew what was going to happen and she was trying to warn people.
Right.
But you also get crazy people wandering around saying things all the time, especially in Vegas.
Yeah, and the problem with "you're all going to die" is that that's a common one. Some guy was yelling that. We took pictures of him when we were in Vegas long before the shooting. It was a few months ago. We were standing No, we were in a car, and he was standing on the corner, and he had a stack of signs. I put it up on my Instagram. I know I did, because there was stacks of signs. He had not just one sign, but he had like a long totem pole of signs with all these different things, and I was taking photos of it, and the guy was yelling out, "Everyone's going to die." I mean, he was yelling it out, that, God's wrath and all this, crazy religious stuff.
That's a common thing for crazy people to shout.
Yes.
That's what they do shout.
It's not like this woman was saying specifically, someone is going to shoot everyone at this concert, get out of here, this is a dangerous area.
If she was trying to warn them, she would have been a bit more specific.
Yes, very specific, right?
A lot of people wanted to quickly blame Lee Harvey Oswald for the JFK assassination and move on. It was like they needed a simple answer. One guy, one crime, case closed. But things got strange, especially with how the CIA handled people questioning the story. A few years later, the CIA sent out a memo because too many people were talking about conspiracies. They didn't like that, so they tried to make those people look crazy. That's where the idea comes from, that the CIA made conspiracy theory a bad word to shut people up. This kind of thing happens a lot. After a big event, people start looking for clues. Sometimes they really do find something, but other times it's just random. Like in the Las Vegas shooting, people said a woman in the crowd warned, "You're all going to die," before it happened. Creepy, but in Vegas, people say crazy stuff all the time. There are always street preachers and doomsday people yelling.
I want to say it was at least 6 months ago. But we were mocking this guy because like, this guy's got a lot of fucking signs. Like, one sign's not enough. I go, this is the guy. This is the reason why Twitter only has 140 characters for motherfuckers like this.
I think I remember it was like July because it was like 120 degrees out too, wasn't it?
Yes, it was very hot.
Really
This goofy asshole had this giant stack of signs. So the back to the Kennedy thing.
Yeah.
What do you think happened? Do you think that Lee Harvey Oswald probably acted alone?
I think he probably acted alone. I think like the physics of what happened is fairly consistent with the single shooter theory. Now, admittedly, the magic bullet is a bit strange, but I don't think it's out of the bounds of possibilities.
I do, because of the fact that the metal particles. There's more bullet fragments in Connolly's body than were missing from that almost pristine bullet. And even though the fact that it hit Connolly at the very end, if it went through all that flesh and it didn't hit any bone until it hit his wrist, then it would not have been compromised very much ballistically. It would still be going incredibly fast. It still would have smashed into that bone. It did enough to break his wrist, and it would have distorted the bullet. That's just what happens with bullets.
See, unfortunately, I don't really follow JFK conspiracy very much. And the reason I don't is that there are already, I think literally over 1,000 books on JFK.
I've read a few. I got into Case Closed. That was Vincent Bugliosi's book. Is that who it was? But I was like, this guy's got an agenda. It just didn't. There's many books that you could read about the Kennedy assassination, and some of them favor the conspiracy, and some of them favor the assassination. I think a lot of them have merit on both sides. One thing that drives me crazy was people say that you could never make that shot. That's fucking bullshit. That's bullshit. This is why I know it's bullshit, because it was only like a couple hundred yards. Yeah. Like a couple hundred yards, shooting at something the size of a person's head is easy.
For JFK, the idea that Oswald acted alone seems likely. The physics mostly make sense. The magic bullet theory is strange, but not impossible. More bullet fragments were found in Connolly than were missing from the bullet. But since it only hit bone at the end, it would have still had enough speed to break his wrist. There are over 1,000 books on the JFK assassination, some supporting a conspiracy, others saying Oswald acted alone. Both sides make points, but many books push an agenda. One thing that doesn't add up is when people claim the shot was impossible, and that's not true. The target was only a couple hundred yards away, an easy shot for someone with proper training.
Look, I mean, first of all, if you were used to that rifle and you practice that, someone said, oh, the scope was off. I think that's bullshit too. The reason why I think that's bullshit is because it's easy to knock a scope off. You have to have a direct chain of evidence between the time Lee Harvey Oswald had that scope shooting that rifle, the moment he shot that rifle, and then you have to hand it off to someone who checks the scope right then. Because if you drop a rifle, the scope goes off. Just drop it. I've done that before. I dropped a rifle once when I was hunting in Wisconsin, and my scope was off by 6 inches at 100 yards. Just dropping it. So the idea that he could have never made that shot because the scope was off. Scopes get adjusted. That's what happens when you drop a scope. They move. That's a whole thing about ballistics. You have to check them. You go to the range. You set up a lead sled. You lay the rifle down so it's perfectly stable. You squeeze off a shot. You use the binoculars. You find out where the shot hit on the target, and then you adjust the scope. They're adjustable. So the idea that his scope was no good is crazy. The idea that shot was too far to make, insane. It was only, I think it was less than 100 yards when they think he made the first shot, which is a chip shot. That's a shot that you would make without even a rest. Now he's making this shot resting on the window, so he's perfectly steady. The idea that was impossible is crazy. The idea that no one can do that in 3 shots, that's been disproven. Someone can do it. Someone who's really good at reloading and loading can do it. Just because Jesse Ventura couldn't do it, but Jesse's super conspiracy-minded.
Yes.
Like, he goes all in with the conspiracy theories.
That's the motivated reasoning part of things.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's doing it just for his show or because he really believes it.
I worked with the same people that did his show. The reason why I did Joe Rogan Questions Everything is they wanted me to take over Jesse's show after he was done, and I was uninterested. I was like, I'm not that guy. I'm not like the I believe every conspiracy guy. I think people have a real weird vested interest in proving that things are a conspiracy. I'm interested in finding out what things really are, like legitimately what they really are. Yeah. And even if I'm wrong, like I'm not interested in reinforcing things I've already said. If I find out that what I said was wrong, I'm interested in repeating that I was wrong as many times as I can to get it out to as many people as I can.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Because I think it's important. Yeah. So this JFK thing, there's bullshit on both sides of it. But the idea that this guy who went over to Russia, married a Russian citizen, came back here, he was absolutely involved in some shady, weird shit with Cuba. He's a fucking weird guy. Lee Harvey Oswald was a weird guy. The idea that he was completely innocent, I'm not buying that either.
I don't buy the idea that it's proven that he acted entirely alone. It's entirely possible that there are other people who were helping him or motivating him or giving him instructions even. Yeah. The thing I don't think is really proven is the additional shooter theory.
It's not proven, and there have been people that said they heard things from behind them. The problem with that is chaos. When you have gunshots, first of all, gunshots in an area like Dealey Plaza, the echoes ring out, and people claim to see things and hear things. They even believe themselves. If you tell someone that you heard something in the bushes and then you run away, that person will say, I heard something in the bushes, and then other people will repeat it. It becomes the narrative, and it just gets...
And there's even more theories and stories around the JFK assassination. In another episode with Brian Redban, Joe talked about the JFK files that's been released.
Speaking of that, they've just released all those documents, JFK documents. Anything come out of that?
Did something come out of it? Oh, one thing that come out was they were saying that Lee Harvey Oswald was a Russian asset and that he had been honeypotted by his wife. And he lived in Russia in the 1950s. And they think that in this... I think what Russia's trying to say in this is that they were responsible for making Lee Harvey Oswald try to kill the president. There was so much shit going on with that story. For anybody that thinks in 2022 that you know what happened in 1963, you're crazy.
The new JFK documents suggest Oswald might have been a Russian asset manipulated by the Soviets. They even claim his wife played a role in getting him to do it. Some people think Russia was behind the assassination. But honestly, with so much unknown and so many theories out there, it's hard to say what really happened.
In 1992, Congress passed the President John F. Kennedy Assassination Records Collection Act. And that act mandated full disclosure of all documents by 2017, 54 years after JFK was killed. The last administration promised to comply fully with that law, but under intense pressure from CIA Director Mike Pompeo, withheld in the end thousands of pages of CIA documents. Today, this afternoon, the Biden administration did exactly the same thing. That would be thousands of pages of documents after nearly 60 years, after the death of every single person involved. But we still can't see them. Clearly, it's not to protect any person. They're all dead. It's to protect an institution. But why? Well, today we decided to find out. We spoke to someone who had access to these still hidden CIA documents, a person who was deeply familiar with what they contain. We asked this person directly, did the CIA have a hand in the murder of John F. Kennedy, an American president? And here's the reply we received verbatim. Quote, the answer is yes. I believe they were involved. It's a whole different country from what we thought it was. It's all fake.
Jesus.
It's hard to imagine a more jarring response than that. Again, this is not a, quote, conspiracy theorist that we spoke to. Not even close. This is someone with direct knowledge of the information that once again is being withheld from the American public. And the answer we received was unequivocal. Yes, the CIA was involved in the assassination of the president.
Wow.
Now, some people will not be
Bro.
Wow.
Jesus Christ.
Like 97% of the documents they said have now been released. I think as of this time, like whatever, yesterday or something, and people are starting to look through those. They don't expect to find anything in those because there's still
they've kept
thousands
documents.
of documents.
Well, I would definitely not let people read the ones that would be looking bad. I mean, that's the only explanation. Why can't we read them? They must be bad. They can't be good. Well, they say a lot of great things about the CIA, and we're pretty humble. I mean, we don't want that.
That's going to cause chaos. That's why. The whole place, the country is going to fucking riot.
How will they ever find out? If they're able to keep shit from us, how will they ever find out? Even though there's been laws passed and, rulings that they're supposed to release it in 2017. Like, what? But why not? Like, what are you doing? What's happening?
It's pretty crazy that after all these years, so many documents about JFK's assassinations are still locked away. Even though there's a law to make them public, the CIA is still holding back thousands of pages. The excuse that it's for national security doesn't really hold up when everyone involved is already dead. It makes you wonder what's in those papers that they don't want us to know. It's like the more they hide, the more people start to question what really happened back then. And the conspiracy theories going around it won't stop. And the stories about JFK don't stop here. Even Robert Kennedy Jr. talked about his uncle JFK in the podcast.
My uncle, John Kennedy, did that. He refused to go to war. So he was surrounded by military-industrial complex, and he learned very early and an intelligence apparatus that he realized early on that the purpose of the CIA and the intelligence apparatus was to create a constant pipeline of new wars for the military-industrial complex. 3 days before he took the oath of office, Eisenhower, who was the outgoing president, gave what is probably the most important speech in American history, which was, where he warned against the military-industrial complex. I was at my uncle's inauguration. I was in Washington that day. I was a 6-year-old boy, and I was sitting on the stands behind him in front of him during his inauguration. And he understood that. And 2 months later, the military and intelligence came to him and said, we got to invade Cuba. And he was like, I'm not going to Cuba, and I'm not going to let the military. And they said, well, we got all these Cubans trained, and they're going to go attack Castro. And he said, well, we can't, the U.S. government can't be doing that. We can't be attacking. I don't like what Castro's doing down there, but it's not the United States' job to dictate what kind of governments other countries have. And they said, well, as soon as they land, there's going to be a big revolution. Everybody's going to rise up and they're going to overthrow Castro. And he said, well, you can't use the U.S. military. And they ended up bringing those guys over with United Fruit boats. And in the middle of it, in the night, they came to him and said, they're getting wiped out on the beach and you need to send in the military and invade. And he said, we're not going to do it. And he stepped out of that meeting, and he realized they had been lying to him and trying to trick him. And he said, I want to take the CIA and shatter it into 1,000 pieces and scatter it to the winds. And then, for the next 1,000 days of his presidency, he was at war with his military and intelligence apparatus. They tried to get him to go into Laos. He said no. They tried to get him to go into Vietnam with combat troops. They said that we need 250,000 combat troops. He refused. Everybody around him wanted him to go into Vietnam. He sent 16,000 military advisors. That's fewer people than he sent to get James Meredith into Ole Miss in Jackson, Mississippi, to get one black man into school. He sent fewer in Vietnam. They weren't allowed to fight. Many of them did. They violated the rules of engagement. In October of 1963, he heard that some of his Green Berets had been killed over there. And he said, I want a total casualty list from Vietnam. And his aide came to him and said, 75 Americans have died. And he said, that's too many. And he signed that day a national security order ordering all troops out of Vietnam, U.S. troops. The first 1,000 over the next month, and then the rest by the beginning of 1965. And then a month later, he was killed.
JFK didn't want to go to war and wanted to stop the government from pushing for it. Before he became president, another president, Eisenhower, warned about the military being too powerful and always wanting wars. JFK learned that the CIA was trying to trick him into doing things like invading Cuba and Vietnam. He didn't want to do that, so he stopped them. He even ordered the U.S. troops to leave Vietnam before he was killed. JFK didn't want to be part of these endless wars, and that's why he had problems with the people in power at the time.
But what his view was is that he believed that the view of Americans abroad should not be, a soldier with a gun. It should be a Peace Corps volunteer building, wells, and it should be USAID helping poor people, and it should be Alliance for Progress building middle class. And that's what he did. And he started the Kennedy Milk Program to give nutrition to poor kids all over the world. As a result of that, in Africa today, there are more statues to John Kennedy, more boulevards named after him, more hospitals, schools, universities, avenues in all the major cities named after him than any other president. And that is the Chinese have taken that template and done the same thing now. And they are, all these countries that were supposedly allied with us are now realigning with the Chinese, and they're switching to their currency because the Chinese are not there to kill people. They're there, to build roads, to build universities, to build colleges. And it turns out that people like that a lot more. And, we should be projecting economic power around the globe and not military power. It will make us much stronger.
But what do you think happens when you get into office? Like, if you're talking about your uncle who's assassinated, and you believe the intelligence agencies were a part of that, what happens to you?
Well, I got to be careful. I mean, I'm aware of that, and I'm not. I'm aware of that danger, and I don't live in fear of it, at all. But I'm not stupid about it, and I take precautions.
Robert Kennedy Jr. talks about how his uncle, JFK, wanted America to be known for helping people, not for military force. JFK created programs to fight poverty and improve lives worldwide, especially in Africa, where his legacy is huge. Today, China is following a similar approach, building infrastructure in other countries, which has made them shift away from U.S. influence. And there's even more theories to this story.
And they got imprisoned, and they had a lot of resentment towards Kennedy. I mean, I go into the book a little bit about the Kennedy assassination and the belief that a handful of those Cubans may have been involved in the Kennedy assassination along with the Italians, with the mob, because they were working hand in hand with the CIA.
Yeah, that was one of the leading conspiracies outside of the CIA killing him. And even the CIA killing him was a part of the Bay of Pigs conspiracy, and also the idea that he wanted to disband the CIA. There was a really interesting article recently that was dismissing almost every single conspiracy theory about the Kennedy assassination. They said except the CIA one. There's legitimate possibilities that the CIA...
Well, you can bet your ass that if the CIA was involved, then Cubans were involved.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you something. In the book, you speak about Fidel's mistress.
Yeah.
That he got
He only had
disenchanted with her at this particular one.
Marita.
She had gone to New Orleans or to Dallas.
Marita Loren.
This is very interesting.
Notorious figure. She had a child with him and had an abortion and didn't have the child. She got pregnant with Fidel. In fact, Castro admitted as much. She got pregnant with Castro. She had an abortion. And then the CIA used her to try to assassinate Castro. She was supposed to slip him a pill, and she put it in her face cream, and the pill dissolved in her face cream, and that was the pill she was going to try to slip to Castro. Her case agent was a guy named Frank Sturgis, who wound up being one of the Watergate burglars. See, the thing about Bay of Pigs and the Cubans, the Bay of Pigs invasion is the key to understanding the whole latter part of the 20th century politics in the United States, the Cold War, because the alliance between the CIA and the Cubans rears its head constantly throughout the latter part of the 20th century. The Watergate burglary, 5 out of 7 of the burglars were Cubans, Bay of Pigs veterans.
Really?
They had been recruited by a guy named E. Howard Hunt, CIA agent who was one of the orchestrators of the Bay of Pigs invasion.
Was also one of the people that on his deathbed said that he was involved in the assassination of Kennedy.
Yes. So the CIA would come to these Cuban exiles, the militant exiles, and they'd say, go do this operation, go do this burglary at the Watergate, and then we go get Fidel. Go do this assassination, and then we go get Fidel. And the Cubans were always ready and willing.
Because it was all leading back to getting Fidel.
It was all leading back to getting
Did you ever
Fidel.
see the images of what they said was E. Howard Hunt? He was one of the people that was arrested. There was a series of, there was a bunch of guys that were arrested that were on trains. They were calling them hobos, but they were all very well dressed.
Right.
That were near where the grassy knoll
The
was.
men on the grassy knoll, yeah.
And
There's lots of rumors about that E. Howard Hunt was one of those men.
Yeah.
There was even a reference that Jose Miguel Battle was one of those men, but that couldn't have been the case because he was in the Army at the time, the U.S. Army. No, so it's like a subterranean narrative that runs through the latter part of the 20th century. The CIA and right-wing elements in American politics using the Cuban Americans to do all kinds of dirty covert deeds. And we're talking about terrorist activity, assassination of an ambassador from Chile right in Washington, D.C., blew up his car because he was sympathetic to Castro. A bomb planted on a Cuban jetliner flying from Panama City to Havana. 73 people killed, innocent people, including the fencing team from Cuba, young people.
Cuban exiles angry over the Bay of Pigs might have had a role in the Kennedy assassination, along with the mob and CIA. A recent article mostly dismissed other conspiracy theories, but said the CIA's involvement was still possible. The book also talks about Fidel Castro's mistress, Marie Taylor, who was used by the CIA to try to poison Castro. She put a pill in her face cream, but it didn't work. The Bay of Pigs invasion set off a chain of events. Many of the Watergate burglars were also Cuban exiles from that mission. The CIA kept using them for shady operations, like assassinating a Chilean ambassador and bombing a Cuban plane, killing 73 people.
A dirty war was waged by the anti-Castro underground in combination, in partnership with the CIA. And this, we know about it now because a lot of it has been declassified and it's come out. We didn't know about it at the time it was taking place.
Why'd they blow up the plane?
It's just an act of terrorism against Cuba to show them that it could be done, to instill fear and paranoia in the Cuban. The concept was to destabilize the Cuban government so they'd be vulnerable and then you could take them over. Wow. So any act against Cuba, I mean, asking why blowing up the plane is asking like why fly planes into the World Trade Center.
Right.
You know, it was just a destructive act.
It's pretty amazing how resilient Castro was. I mean, unbelievable. The guy's 90 miles away from Miami and just ran shit through the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, into the 2000s.
They say there was something like 632 known plots over the course of 4 or 5 decades to kill Castro.
That's incredible.
632.
That's
Don't they have
incredible.
a movie, 101 Ways to Kill Fidel?
Yeah.
And he got on a train in New York, and they're like, are you fucking crazy? And they checked to see that he had a bulletproof vest on. He's like, no. He took the train to the UN.
Wow.
Like, he's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
He was fucking nuts.
The Dirty War was a secret operation between the anti-Castro underground and the CIA to destabilize Cuba. They used acts of terrorism, like blowing up plants, to create fear and make the Cuban government vulnerable. The goal was to eventually take over Cuba. Castro was incredibly resilient, surviving attempts on his life for decades. There were over 600 known plots to kill him. Despite being just 90 miles from Miami, he kept pushing through, even taking the train to the UN while checking if his bulletproof vest was on. He truly didn't back down.
So, what makes this gangster story of the corporation so interesting and different is this political context, the framework that all this shit was taking place against the backdrop of this desire to kill Castro and take back the homeland. And anyone who was involved in that was seen as a hero within the community. Joey can tell you about that. Union City, New Jersey, and Miami were the hotbeds of the anti-Castro movement. There was an organization in Union City called Omega 7. There was one in Miami called Alpha 66. These were terror organizations, secret organizations that existed to plant bombs. They would plant bombs at embassies in in New York City. They would put bombs at Lincoln Center when an orchestra from Cuba was making an appearance. They were trying to shut down any relationship between the U.S. and Cuba and governments that were sympathetic to Cuba. They would do actions against them, and this went on for like 40 years, man.
That's unbelievable.
You couldn't mention Fidel in the 70s in Union City. Like a joke. Like, it's not a joke. Don't even bring him up, dog. Because you will get smacked.
Now, was there any pro-Fidel support amongst Cubans?
There was, and bad things would happen to them.
In the United States?
Yeah.
In Cuba, though? What about in Cuba?
Pro-Castro in Cuba? Oh, yeah.
I'd go back to the I'd be on the grassy knoll that day with JFK.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one, too. That's a good one, too. Would you be on the grassy knoll, or would you be in the book depository? See, if you're in the book depository, then you know that Lee Harvey Oswald isn't there.
I think he may have even been there. I think he may have even been firing, but I don't believe that he was the only one.
I'm with you. That's exactly what I think. I think he could have been in on it, and maybe he didn't even fire it.
Right.
But when he said that he was a patsy, the way he said it, when he got arrested, he said, "I'm just a patsy." That's like a guy who knew he was going to get in trouble for something.
Yeah.
That's not like a regular guy. He was not a regular guy. They easily could have talked him into doing something fucked up, and then they did something as well and blamed it all on him, and they had him set up for it.
Yeah.
He seemed like a wacky dude.
Someone that did that and made that shot and really wanted him dead would own it. Quite the opposite. At that point, you're not trying to not go to prison.
Well, maybe he is, but it didn't seem like it. He didn't seem like a guy who just shot someone. He also didn't seem like a guy who was shocked that he was getting arrested for something. But you could make someone a patsy back then. That was real. You could set someone up. And then you hired Jack Ruby to just run up on the guy and shoot him. And he just did it. Now the guy's dead. Jack Ruby drops the gun. They put him in a nice jail cell. I don't know if he was in a nice jail cell. I have no idea.
And then what happened to Jack Ruby? Something happened to him,
Died
right?
in jail. Got cancer.
How much do you know about those three guys that they thought might have been it?
Maybe that's John Gotti.
The three hobos or the three guys under the bridge?
Well, one of them was Woody Harrelson's dad.
Yeah, they were in the CIA, I read, or they thought
Something.
they were. Who knows?
Look, Kennedy was not a popular guy by any stretch of the imagination with a giant chunk of the population. Think about if as many people hate Trump right now. If that's only I don't know how many people hated Kennedy, but I know that the Bay of Pigs was a huge disaster. A lot of military people hated him for that. Supposedly he wanted to get rid of the NSA. Supposedly he wanted to get rid of he wanted to do something about the Federal Reserve. There was a lot of things that he wanted to do, apparently. Maybe it was the CIA. I think it was the CIA. He was trying to disband one of those. But he had a disdain for secrecy and secret societies. There was a lot of these Skull and Bones type things that George W. Bush was in, or Herbert Walker Bush, rather, his dad. Was George G.W. in Skull and Bones too?
They both were, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all that wacky shit. Like, what are you doing? You dressing up like a druid? What are you doing? Are you burning an effigy? You know, a lot of people thought that was all fake until Alex Jones and John Ronson was with him, right?
At the
yes.
I don't know who was with him actually.
Yes, I'm pretty.
Rogan and Tony Hinchcliffe talk about how Oswald, the guy accused of killing Kennedy, said he was a patsy when arrested. Rogan thinks Oswald might have been set up and that he wasn't the only one involved in the assassination. The fact that Oswald knew he was being framed adds a twist. Plus, when Jack Ruby killed Oswald before he could speak, it raised even more questions. They also touch on how Kennedy wasn't liked by certain groups. After the Bay of Pigs disaster, he lost support from the government and military. He was trying to challenge the CIA and even wanted to break up secretive organizations, which likely made him a target. This opens up the theory that Kennedy's assassination was part of a bigger plot by powerful people in the government who felt threatened by him.
Sure, Google that. Make sure I'm right. I'm pretty sure it was Ronson. I'm pretty sure Ronson was. I know it was. He was talking about it. He was talking about it on the podcast about, like that they couldn't believe what they found. So this is this place, Bohemian Grove, and the idea was that all the elites would go there and they would engage in these occult rituals.
This is in America?
Yeah, it's in California.
Oh,
it's like Northern California. And so you hear about this and you're like, what? Like, if you heard about that, like, hey, there's a place. Former presidents go, top-ranking generals and heads of state and bankers and famous artists. They go to this place and they do occult rituals. Yeah. They perform occult rituals.
Part 4 of The Secret Rulers of the World, directed by John Ronson. He travels with Alex Jones, too.
There you go.
What's that, a Netflix?
I don't know where you can find it at the moment. It was on...
You can definitely see it on YouTube.
Right.
You can definitely see the interaction on YouTube. So Alex films these people worshipping Moloch the owl god and doing this thing. He completely sneaks in, just acts like he belongs there, just let him in. They have a gate, guarded gate, just fucking, hey, how you doing? He looks like a Republican. They let him through. He is there filming them. They have an effigy, like a bunch of straw and shit that's supposed to represent a person that you're sacrificing to Moloch the owl god. They're dressed in these crazy hoods. They put the effigy down. They have those loudspeakers. And they have this crazy speech they give. It's so weird. But these are like legitimate, wealthy, famous people, politicians. These people are heads of banks and shit. And they're going there and they're dressing up. This is real. Right. Like, this isn't like you hear things like that. You're like, well, that's nonsense, right? That's nonsense. That doesn't really happen. There's not a real like Bilderberg meeting. They don't really get together and fucking pretend they're burning hookers.
They really do.
They really do. Yeah. And so he films this. And like, it's one of the first things that got me thinking about conspiracies. As much as you can think that Alex is a wacky guy, he's certainly eccentric. And he's not always right, and that's part of the problem when you're being lied to left and right by so many different things. You can get real off on
Rogan and Hinchcliffe talked about Bohemian Grove, a secret spot in Northern California where powerful people like former presidents, top generals, and rich bankers go to do weird rituals. Alex Jones snuck in and filmed them worshiping a giant effigy of Moloch, which is pretty wild. These high-up figures are seen in robes, giving strange speeches, and performing bizarre ceremonies, all caught on camera. It's one of those things you'd think sounds too crazy to be real. But when there's video evidence, it gets you thinking. Even though Alex Jones is known for being pretty out there, it's hard to deny what's happening here. This kind of stuff shows there might be a whole hidden world of powerful people pulling strings behind the scenes. And this is what made Joe believe in conspiracy theories and give them more time.
But the fact is that there are a certain amount of these things out there like that. And if it wasn't for Alex releasing that video, I think most people would think that's nonsense. But when you see that video, you have to go, okay, what is this? What is going on? Are they really dressing up? Is this really an occult ritual? What is this? Have you ever seen it?
No.
Pull up a video Bohemian Grove just so we can watch the video.
The pictures and stuff because the video that he has is really blurry and
yeah. But Well, you'd have to hear it too
Yes,
because
that's
there's like
right.
a booming loudspeaker.
Yeah.
But see what you can see. It's kind of blurry, but these guys. I mean, he there's like it's famous. This place.
So do you think these people all work with each other
So
and
this
invest?
is this all
Whoa.
the see. He's got this hidden camera footage of these people with torches, dressed up like druids, going over and they're carrying the effigy, and then they're gonna sacrifice it and light it on fire. Like, dude, this is like really rich, famous, powerful people are all here watching this. Like, look at that. Back that up so we can hear what it's, or we can read what it says. Back it up a little bit.
I just got someone's talking over it too.
Yeah, but I don't want to hear it, Jamie. I just want to see the
Yeah,
writing.
well, it keeps going.
Yeah, but can't you? No. What I'm saying is, make it so I can't hear it. And mass rends the stones of Babylon. Like, so they're like, what do they even say? Play it out a little bit. Like, look at this. For beauty is eternal. So they have this, and we bow to beauty everlasting. It's a very strange shit. So they're yelling this out. This guy's got this on a loudspeaker, and they're engaging in this ritual, and then they bring over this effigy and they light it on fire. They have a boat in the water. Like, it's weird, dude. Just imagine being a guy who's worth $1 billion, and this is what you do for fun. You're going to get together with Mike and Harry, who runs Microsoft, and you're all going to go and pretend you're burning something. Like, look at this.
But did they become billionaires and then do this, or is it a chicken and the egg?
That's the question. That's what people think, like, about the elites, right? People think they're, well, and in some families, it is true.
I mean, if these people are all meeting up once a year to burn a stack of hay shaped like a lady, why wouldn't they invest in each other? And
course.
you know,
of course,
they're all bankers and successful.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing about Skull and Bones, is that they all had something on you. Everyone knew something because you all sucked everybody's dick and
Right.
took Polaroids of it and dressed up like a munchkin. You know, I mean, that's what they all did. They did some wacky shit. Like, they probably all got fucked.
It's hard to think like what you could have had on somebody before porn search history.
They probably all fucked each other.
Right.
There probably was one guy who was like the top Skull and Bones guy, and he's just really into fucking dudes, and he just convinced everybody, you know, it'd be a crazy thing, man. How about we have a group, super secret group, and you can't tell anybody about it. How are we gonna stop people from telling people? I know. We're gonna film me fucking him in the ass.
The whole Bohemian Grove thing gets way more suspicious when you see the footage Alex Jones dropped. Watching it, you can't help but wonder, what's really going on here? Are these rich, powerful people actually doing an occult ritual? Or is it just some weird power game that they're playing? Seeing them dress up and perform this creepy ceremony with an effigy, it makes you question everything. They're not random people. We're talking about the big players, the politicians, bankers, and billionaires. They even brought up when Kennedy talked about secret societies.
What's going on? Just these weird fucking secret societies. You ever heard the Kennedy speech about secret societies? It's fucking creepy. When it turns out that he eventually gets murdered, it's creepy.
Did you watch
see The Irishman? Hey.
No,
Jinx?
didn't see it.
No.
Good? It's
Spoiler
about,
alert.
yeah.
Half the movie's about that.
Yeah, no, it is good. So many people told me that they hated it that I was shocked when I watched it, and it was good.
Pull up Kennedy's speech about secret societies. Because Kennedy had this speech about secret societies that many people have speculated had to do with the CIA or had to do with...
The movie brings up an angle I didn't know, is that he hired his brother to become the attorney general, and he started going after...
Yes, the
them.
mob.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, he did right after they helped him get into office. Well, here's the other thing about the Kennedys. They were drug dealers. 100%.
Bootleggers.
Yes, they were selling whiskey or moonshine or whatever the fuck it
The
was.
movie says the dad was too old at the time to get a hold of his sons. Like, they were trying to get old man Kennedy to tell his kids, crack the whip, get him in line, but they couldn't get to him because he was just staring out windows.
Oh, he was
about to
done
die.
already.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Listen, man, they were illegal alcohol salesmen. They made a bunch of money selling alcohol illegally, just like a drug dealer does. Same thing. The fact that those folks went on to become this incredibly powerful family And then 2 brothers get publicly assassinated. Fucking A, man. 2 of them. The fact that you can keep guys around that you know will whack somebody for you like that. There'll be a Jack Ruby or a Sirhan. Just trick a guy. Figure out what you got to say to that guy to get that guy to run up on that dude and shoot him in the stomach.
I mean, if you put a gun to somebody's head and you tell them that if they don't do this, we're going to kill you and your family, that's it. Pretty much you got them, especially
sometimes,
you know, like in the movies when they show someone a picture of their family and they show them a picture of their house or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I know where you live. I know.
I think it's more than that. I think it's guys that you can tell that they're going to do a good thing and they're going to go down in history and they're going to live in infamy, like for their own personal gain. Like, you're talking about people that are so dumb, you're willing to, you're gonna lose the rest of your life because someone's telling you to go shoot Bobby Kennedy, and you're gonna do it in a restaurant in front of everybody. It was a hotel.
That was in Chicago, right?
No, it was in L.A. We actually did Fear Factor in the very hotel where he was shot, because the hotel eventually shut down. I don't know how long after the assassination, but when we were there, they would rent it out for television shows. It's just like weird place, man. You'd walk through the kitchen where he got shot. Like, he got shot in the kitchen, or did they bring him into the kitchen?
Probably brought him in. I think it was in like the convention part where they were giving a speech.
Whoo!
Meeting hall or something.
And that guy swears that he didn't kill him, and who the fuck? But listen, play that. Okay. Play that that Kennedy speech.
It's actually like a 20-minute speech. This is just, I think this is the main highlight we're hopefully looking for.
Yeah, let me hear.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We decided long ago that the dangers of excessive and unwarranted concealment of pertinent facts far outweighed the dangers which are cited to justify it. Even today, there is little value in opposing the threat of a closed society by imitating its arbitrary restrictions. Even today, there is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it. And there is very grave danger that an announced need for increased security will be seized upon by those anxious to expand its meaning to the very limits of official censorship and concealment. That I do not intend to permit to the extent that it's in my control. And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know. For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. It is a system which has conscripted vast human and material resources into the building of a tightly knit, highly efficient machine that combines military, diplomatic, intelligence, economic, scientific, and political operations. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised. No expenditure is questioned, no rumor is printed, no secret is revealed. No president should fear public scrutiny of his program, for from that scrutiny comes understanding, and from that understanding comes support or opposition, and both are necessary.
That's good.
I am not asking your newspaper...
You get it.
Wow.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you had just heard that, if someone else was saying that instead of Kennedy, if someone else is saying those very things in front of you about how they have an open budget, their findings are all concealed, they're a tightly knit group that combines the military and science and all, you'd be like, what?
Yeah.
Are you on Sam Tripoli's podcast this week? You on Tinfoil Hat? You know, what are you doing with this wacky thought?
What do you think?
Wouldn't think that would be the president. He's talking about secret society. He's talking about the military-industrial complex. He's talking about all the gears that are in play, all the pieces that are in play that are making money and causing war and deciding what information people should and shouldn't have and what overreach, they're going to put into action.
He's foreshadowing everything.
The fact that someone would throw away their life just to kill Bobby Kennedy in public shows how powerful manipulation can be. These people don't even realize they're being used in a bigger game. Kennedy's speech now feels like a warning. He talked about a ruthless conspiracy that blends military, politics, and science to control everything behind closed doors. His words weren't just for his time. They apply now more than ever. If someone said this today, they'd be called a conspiracy theorist. But Kennedy said it first, and it's all come true. It makes you wonder how much he really knew about the system he was fighting against. And it gets even crazier when Joe brought Donald Trump to the podcast and asked him about the JFK files. And the things he revealed are
going to do it very soon.
Trump's hesitation about releasing the JFK files shows how tricky the stuff can be. He says trusted people ask him not to open them, probably because of people still alive or national security concerns. But now he's saying it's time to let the truth come out. He calls it a cleansing, so it sounds like there's some serious stuff in those files. Whatever's in there, it could really change how we see things. Talking about the whole UFO thing, which is a pretty wild topic, he admits he's not really a believer, and he's interviewed pilots who have seen things they can't explain. These pilots were top tier, so when they say they saw something strange, like a ball moving way faster than a fighter jet, it definitely catches your attention. It's crazy how this stuff keeps popping up, especially with the government not being so open about it. Could there be something out there? Maybe. But it's clear that there's still a lot. When you think about it, all this UFO talks hints at a bigger truth. We don't know everything. We've got all these advanced tools, yet there's still this massive unknown hanging out there. It's crazy how the more we learn, the more it feels like we are just at the beginning of understanding what's really out there. Whether if it's military tech or something from way beyond our planet, it's hard not to think there's something we're missing. These are just mysterious theories, but who knows? Speaking of crazy theories, there's another episode where Joe talks about the assassination of Donald Trump and all the conspiracy theories people have been throwing around about. Theories claim that Trump just scratched his ear and no shots were fired. Sure, there's always room for doubt, but when you listen to the video, you can clearly hear 9 shots being fired. It's hard to ignore that. But if the situation is wild, right? Not just the fact that a lot of people were injured or that it happened, but how quickly everything was brushed aside. 2 weeks later, it's like it never happened, and there was no real follow-up. The lack of press conferences or any detailed information about the shooter just makes things feel even stranger. How did he even get those explosive devices? How did he make it to the roof without anyone noticing? Then there's the bizarre stuff, like that phone data tracking, which raises a lot of questions. Someone was clearly watching and tracking his every move. And don't even get me started on the guy with the rangefinder walking around before the event. There's no way that. Subscribe to the channel and check out the other video I made. It's as good as this one.